What is going on, everyone? My name is ExtremeCereal, and if you're playing Mage in Season of Discovery, here's a powerful, new, and pretty fun build you can use that's different from the traditional Frost spec. It takes advantage of 3 of the runes that we have available and just allows you to do some very good AoE damage with good survivability. So let's get to it. In order to make use of this build, you are going to need 3 specific runes, and those are the following. For the chest, you're going to need the Regeneration rune. For the legs, you're going to need Living Flame, and for the hands, you're going to need Living Bomb. Now, each alliance, or I guess each faction, has a different way of obtaining these runes, and on top of that, each race within the faction has a different way to possibly obtain the runes. So I'm just going to link the Wowhead article in the description below so you can figure out how the best way to get these runes is for you. I will say though, Living Flame and Regeneration should be pretty easy, regardless of which faction or race you are playing. The only one that I think is going to be a bit difficult to obtain is Living Bomb, specifically for Horde. It is in an area where there are quite a lot of mobs and they spawn pretty quickly, and before you know it, they can spawn on your back and just wipe you out. So on the positive side, there are a lot of people active on the servers now, so you can easily group up and get through it, or even just shout out in general chat or something to see someone who will group up with you. People are pretty cool. So grab those 3 runes and then let's get into the build. So the talent spec for this new build is pretty open-ended. The runes themselves do most of the work. The talents don't really add much until maybe you're in really late game or late levels. But by that point, you would have figured out how to best make use of them. As you can see here, I'm utilizing Arcane because Arcane is going to be our primary means of dealing damage. The Fire specs and the Frost specs, initially, they focus on boosting up your Fireball or your Frostbolt, and then adding extra things like Freeze, or potentially just reducing the cooldown of Fire Blast or just increasing the range. None of those really synergize with how this build works. So I just went with Arcane. Having Arcane Missiles have 100% interrupt resistance. And then this one right here for the Arcane Concentration proc, so I can save a bit on mana, seemed the best for me. But if you find a better build for yourself in your talents, I mean, by all means, just spec how you want. It's the runes that really do a majority of the work. So speaking of those runes, now let me show you the build in action. It's pretty simple and straightforward, definitely different from the standard vanilla WoW Mage gameplay, but it's quite fun. I will add it has been nerfed, unfortunately, a bit. Not that it does less damage, but it doesn't heal you as crazy as it did before. Previously, you were essentially immortal with this, and you could run into a giant mob of 12 enemies, and you could just spam Arcane Blast and you would be completely filled on health. It's crazy. Now, not so much, but still a very powerful build and definitely pretty fun. So let's get to it. All right, everyone. So I'm out here in the Barrens near this Harpy area. You can see on the map, like this top left. And here I'm going to showcase the build, how exactly it works, and the damage you can do. So first of all, let me just go over it. Starting off with Regeneration, this is where we start with. This is like basically the center of where our rotation is going to be. And really, we're not interested in the healing. We're just interested in activating the Temporal Beacon so that our arcane spells will heal us when they do damage, which is pretty nice. Now, on top of that, to do the big damage, we're going to tag enemies with Living Bomb, which is a dot that will then explode once the duration is up. And then lastly, we're going to use Living Flame, which does a bunch of damage over time. But you need the enemies to be lined up, or they can just be grouped up together in a bunch and it'll do damage to them as well. And that's essentially the entire setup for multi-target. Now, Living Flame has a 1-minute cooldown, so the more enemies you tag, the better. Might as well use this for all it's worth. If you just hit 1 enemy or 10, it's still going to have that 1-minute cooldown. So do as much as you can. I usually just go with 4 because other than that, I just die. If you're a player that's more experienced or more skilled than I am, and by all means, pull as much as you can. For me, though, 4 is essentially my max. So let me showcase it a bit here. So first thing, I'm going to just activate the channeling. I just need to trigger it for a moment to activate the Temporal Beacon. And then let's just start tagging mobs. Tag you, tag you, tag you. Let's group you all together. Hit him with this, hit him with the Living Flame, and then just start spamming Arcane Blast. Boom, boom, and everything is dead. Pretty nice. Just gonna collect some for a second here. Give me those goodies, right? Now it does eat through a really large chunk of your mana, but that's okay. I mean, that's just gonna happen no matter what. And now you're on a cooldown for Living Flame. So once this is on cooldown, let me show you what you can do for single target damage. It's a little different, but it's not too crazy. I mean, I'm level 18 right now, so it's not like these rotations are insane. Let's see, this is level 16 Harpy. So I'm gonna open up with Frostbolt to get that freeze. Regularly the slow, and then I'm just going to trigger the arcane missiles here. And that's basically going to be my damage. I'm just going to use arcane missiles on a single target. If Living Bomb goes off and it doesn't die, then I'll just trigger Living Bomb again. And I like to open with Frostbolt so I can get that extra time before the enemy actually reaches me. And if you're really worried about taking hits, I mean, you can always pop Frost Nova, move away from them, and then go to another attack, or just use your wand to save on mana. But that's essentially the whole setup and the rotation. So pretty simple and straightforward, very different from the normal vanilla way of playing Mage, but really fun. So let me gather up another group one more time just to show you. This area looks good. Yeah, level 15 mobs, level 16 in there. Yeah, that's pretty good. So let's start tagging, right? So first, pop the regeneration to get the temporal beacon. Now I'm just gonna throw Living Bomb up on everything that I can. They're going together. That, health is getting low. Let's spam the Arcane Blast though. There we go. Little dicey sometimes. But the healing from Arcane Blast, even though it has been nerfed, I think the healing, there was previously healing from Living Flame got nerfed, it's still very powerful. As you can see there, as long as you don't overdo it, you can get away with a whole lot. And that's the build, everyone. Hopefully this video has given you a new way to play Mage in Season of Discovery. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.